To understand the end of the world, you don't need to go to a war zone, you don't need to go to the site of a nuclear disaster, you just need to buy a ticket for the Market Frankfurt line in Philadelphia. They call it the L. It is a rattling, screeching metal snake that winds its way north from the glittering skyscrapers of Center City. As you sit on the plastic seats, watching the skyline fade away, you can feel the atmosphere change. The suits and the tourists get off. A different crowd gets on. The air in the car grows heavy. It smells of burnt rubber, unwashed bodies, and something sweet and metallic, the smell of open wounds. When the conductor announces Somerset Station, you aren't just stepping onto a platform, you are stepping across a border. You are leaving the United States of America and entering a containment zone that operates by its own biology, its own economy, and its own laws. Welcome to Kensington Avenue. Welcome to what the internet calls Zombie City. In 2026, this neighborhood has become the most documented, yet least understood, square mile in the country. We have all seen the viral videos. We have seen the figures bent double at the waist, defying gravity. We have seen the sprawling encampments under the train tracks. But looking is not the same as seeing. Today, we are going to walk the length of the avenue. We are going to investigate the chemical weapon known as Tranq that is physically eating the residents alive. We are going to expose the containment strategy that traps thousands of people in a quarantine of despair. And we are going to look into the eyes of the people who have been labeled monsters to find the human beings hiding inside the rot. This is the uncomfortable truth about the city of brotherly love. Stepping out of the station, your senses are immediately assaulted. The noise is deafening, the roar of the train overhead mixed with the shouting of the street dealers. It is a chaotic, open-air bazaar. But they aren't selling fruit or clothes. They are selling oblivion. Works simply means clean needles. Blue Magic, Bad Bunny, Transformers are the brand names of the death being sold in small wax bags. But the most striking thing is the movement, or the lack of it. You see them everywhere, the leaners. Men and women standing on the corner, folded in half like pocket knives. Their heads are inches from their shins, their arms dangle loosely, they sway back and forth in a terrifying rhythm, but they rarely fall. This isn't just heroin. Heroin makes you nod. Heroin makes you sleepy. This is something else. This is a chemical paralysis. The culprit is Xylazine, street name Tranq. In the last few years, the drug supply in Philadelphia has shifted. Fentanyl, the synthetic opioid that killed thousands, had a flaw. The high was too short. To fix this, the cartels began cutting the supply with Xylazine, a veterinary sedative designed for 1,000-pound horses. When a human being injects horse tranquilizer mixed with synthetic opioids, the result is catastrophic. The Xylazine knocks them out cold for hours, leaving them vulnerable to robbery, rape, and the elements. But while they are unconscious, the drug is attacking their body from the inside. Xylazine causes the blood vessels to constrict. It cuts off oxygen to the skin. This leads to the second and most horrific characteristic of Kensington in 2026, the necrosis. Walking down the avenue, you try not to look, but you can't help it. You see people rolling up their sleeves or pulling down their socks to find a vein, and you see the wounds. These aren't just abscesses. These are gaping, black, crusty holes in the flesh. We saw a man whose forearm looked like it had been bitten by a shark. The tissue was black and dead. The bone was visible. And yet, he was injecting right into the edge of the wound. This is the Tranq trap. The drug causes the wounds. The pain of the wounds is excruciating. The only thing that numbs the pain is more of the drug. It is a perfect, self-sustaining cycle of self-destruction. We spoke to a street nurse named Sarah, who carries a backpack full of bandages and saline. She looked exhausted. "We aren't fighting addiction anymore," she told us. "We are fighting amputation. I have 20-year-old kids here who are going to lose their arms and legs, not because of the needle, but because the drug is eating them." Sarah told us that the wounds create a barrier to exit. You can't get into a shelter if you have an open, oozing biohazard wound, she said. They won't take you. They are afraid of sepsis. They are afraid of the smell. So the sickest people, the ones who need help the most, are the ones who are forced to stay on the street. But who are these people? The stereotype is that they are all locals, born and raised in the Badlands. But that is a lie. We met a young man named Chris. He was 24. He wore a dirty Eagles jersey. He was from a wealthy suburb in Bucks County. He told us he came down 3 years ago for a weekend party, got hooked on the Percocets, which turned out to be fentanyl, and never went home. It's the availability, Chris said, his eyes scanning the crowd for his dealer. In the suburbs, you have to know a guy. You have to wait. Here, it's the Walmart of heroin. It's 24/7. You can wake up at 4 a.m., walk 10 feet, and buy a bag for $5. That price point, $5, is the economic engine of this disaster. It is cheaper to buy a bag of fentanyl in Kensington than it is to buy a Starbucks coffee. This extreme affordability acts like a gravity well, pulling in vulnerable people from all over the East Coast. We met people from Ohio, West Virginia, and Florida. They are drug refugees, migrating to the one place where their addiction is affordable, and the city allows it. This brings us to the most controversial aspect of the crisis, the containment strategy. As you walk the avenue, you see police cars. They are parked on the corners, the lights are flashing, but the officers stay inside. They're staring at their phones. 10 feet away from their bumper, a drug deal is happening. 20 feet away, a woman is shooting up in her neck. The police do not intervene. It appears that the unwritten policy of Philadelphia is not to solve the problem, but to quarantine it. As long as the zombies stay under the L tracks, as long as they don't wander into the tourist districts of Center City or the gentrifying brunch spots of Fishtown, they are left alone. Kensington has become a sacrifice zone, a place where the laws of the United States do not apply. But there are people trapped in this zone who aren't addicts. There are residents, families who have lived in these row houses for generations, grandmothers who sweep their stoops while stepping over comatose bodies, children who have to walk through a gauntlet of needles to get to school. We spoke to a resident named Maria. She was standing behind the iron bars of her front porch. "We are prisoners in our own homes," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "I call 911, they don't come. I tell the city there is a dead body on my sidewalk. They take 4 hours to move it. They have abandoned us. They are waiting for us to die or move out so they can sell the land to developers." Maria's theory is common here. Many believe that the city is letting Kensington hit rock bottom, letting the violence and the drugs run their course so that eventually they can bulldoze it all and build luxury condos. It is gentrification by attrition. As the sun sets, the atmosphere shifts from chaotic to demonic. The fires start. People burn trash in metal drums to stay warm. The smoke mixes with the fog, creating a hazy orange glow. The shadows of the leaners stretch out against the brick walls, looking like distorted monsters. The sounds of the night are terrifying. The screech of the train, the shouting of arguments, the sudden pop of gunfire. We walked to McPherson Square, a park that locals used to call Needle Park. In 2026, it is a refugee camp. Tents are clustered together for safety. Inside one tent, we found a veteran named David. David served in Afghanistan. Now he serves a different master. He held up a sign that said, "Veteran, anything helps." "There are 35,000 homeless veterans in this country," David said, quoting a statistic he likely heard on the news. "Though out here, statistics feel meaningless. I fought for freedom, and now I'm fighting for a vein. The VA gives me pills, but the street gives me peace." David's story is a reminder that the people here are not monsters, they are broken. They are fathers, sons, daughters, and soldiers who fell through the cracks of a society that has no safety net for the fallen. The term zombie is easy. It allows us to dehumanize them. If they are zombies, we don't have to save them, we just have to contain them. We just have to make sure they don't bite us. But standing here, in the smoke and the filth, looking at a young girl who looks just like your niece or your daughter, you realize the truth. They aren't the undead. They are the dying. They are dying of a poison that was manufactured in a lab, trafficked by cartels, and allowed to proliferate by a government that has run out of ideas. The collapse of Kensington is a mirror. It reflects the ugly truth about our healthcare system, our housing market, and our empathy. As we headed back to the train station, stepping over the debris of human lives, a young man stopped us. He didn't ask for money. He pointed at the camera. "Tell them we're still here," he said. "Tell them we aren't dead yet." The doors of the L train slid shut, sealing us back into the safety of the commute. The train pulled away, rising above the smoke, heading back towards the skyscrapers and the Liberty Bells. But the image of the avenue remains burned into our minds.
Kensington is not a movie. It is not a viral clip. It is a tragedy happening in real time. And until we stop treating it like a spectacle and start treating it like a humanitarian crisis, the bodies will keep piling up under the tracks. Thank you for watching this investigation into the darkness of Philadelphia. It is a difficult reality to face, but we cannot look away. If you believe that every human being deserves dignity, even in their darkest moment, please like this video. It helps us break the algorithm and show the truth. And please, subscribe to America's Uncomfortable Truth. We will continue to take you to the places the travel brochures hide. Leave a comment below. Do you think the containment strategy is a crime against humanity? Stay safe, look out for the forgotten, and never stop demanding the truth.